kid stuff, how do we play into the future? My name is Shakil Ahmed. I am a futurist, an educator, and a storyteller. The name of my organization is Ridiculous Futures. It's Ridiculous Futures because there's a saying by a futurist, Jim Dater, that any useful statement about the future should appear to be ridiculous. So if I say something about the future and all of you nod your heads and agree, most likely I'm talking about the present. So the future is meant to make you feel uncomfortable and ridiculous, so I think that's what I do. And basically my work is, I'm also my government innovation agency's resident futurist as well, from the government of Bangladesh, and other things going on as well. And we have today our speaker, Joanna Lenkova. She's the director of futurology from the Lego Group. So Joanna, if you want to take it over from here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shakil. Hi, everyone. I am super excited to have you in this session. We thought about this session long and hard, and we decided that it will be a more interactive session. So throughout the 45 minutes, please feel free to treat this as a conversation. I'm really, really excited to be here and to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is the future of childhood. What better topic to talk about, really? Not only because whoever I speak to, it evokes hope in everyone I speak to, but also because within the Lego Group, of course, we are all about playfulness and all about how to come up with creative ideas. So this is the reason why you all got some bricks. As we're speaking and conversing about what the future world may look like, please feel free to build something, and hopefully you'll get inspired, and then you'll have the chance to inspire other people. So it's not going to be a presentation where we just speak at you. We invite your opinions, and we invite a conversation. So with that in mind, I will just tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm the futurology director at the Lego Group. I'm a futurist and strategist. And one of my favorite things to do is to use foresight, but also to find the practical aspect of foresight. So it's great to be very creative and to imagine what future scenarios may look like, which we will do today. We will work on future children's personas, so putting you in the mindset. I also like to find opportunities amidst perhaps sometimes dystopian futures that are painted out there. So I'd like to invite you to have this mindset when you build the personas of the future. And Shakil, you already introduced yourself. So I spoke about why I'm passionate about the future of childhood. Why are you passionate about the future of childhood?
So I studied physics, yeah? I think I studied physics when I was young, when people used to ask me, what do I want to do when I grow up? I said I want to conquer time, right? But then, of course, I come from Bangladesh, and I think a lot of people study physics don't end up doing jobs in physics, right? They go to other countries and all that. So I got interested in research systems, education systems, and I think everywhere in the world, if people are learning to solve their own problems, that's why I care about the future of childhood. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I was thinking about creativity in childhood, and I found a research that was done by NASA. It was a longitudinal study, and the research was published 6 years ago. And I want to share some numbers with you. It was done on 1,600 kids between the age of 4 and 5, and it was about finding creative genius. So they had a set of criteria, and they were looking for geniuses. And guess what? 98% of children that were tested at a level of creative genius. Imagine that. And then it turns out, when they reach the age of 10, things drop to 30%. When they grow up, things get worse. So we're not going to test the creative genius here, but I'd like to evoke the children in you, because children are creative. They are positive. So let's embrace this as we're working through this session. So what will we do today? You all have the Lego bricks. We will go through some of the trends that we're seeing that are shaping the future where children will live in. I would like to invite you to also chip in with things that you have noticed and opinions that you have about what the world of the future may look like. We're probably going to be looking at around 2050. There is no special year that we're looking for. So just feel free to imagine from 2035 to 2050 what the world is going to look like and what children may look like. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the world of the future. And I want to start with headwinds and tailwinds. Now, we all know that the situation and the outlook at the moment is filled with negative news. We talk about the polycrisis. We talk about the upcoming raging weather. We talk about uneven economic recovery, conflict, inequality, climate emergency. But guess what? There's so many positive things that we're able to utilize and to innovate to tackle all of these issues. So technological innovation, I mean, think about it. A year ago, generative AI, right? And of course it comes with risks. Now, I remember I was doing a presentation a year ago talking about generative AI, and then I was looking at what are the possibilities and how this is going to evolve and develop. And I was right about one thing. I said, oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to, start to be text to image and music. And then, when you mesh it up with robotics, imagine what cool stuff are going to happen. The one thing I was wrong about is I said this is going to happen within months. It actually happened within weeks and sometimes days. So looking at the innovation and the ways in which artificial intelligence or the advancements in science and medicine or space exploration or even the strength of the community and the social action, these are all things that can bring us towards a more positive future. And here I'd like to invite Shaquille maybe to share a few of your trends that you have seen.
Sure.
More positive, ideally.
Okay. I think I'll try to share some positively ridiculous trends, if that helps. So the three that comes to mind. I think in the age where right now, I'm sure even in our heads, multiple tabs are open, right? Like some of us are distracted, some of us might be tweaking on our phones because we live in a distracted world. And I try to say that the future of education will be screenless. But then, that's not where we're going. The trends are not showing that. But of course, I'm sure technology will come up where we don't have to be sucked into our screens. Yeah? So that's one. Number two is, the second ridiculous trend is that the whole city will be an educational place, right? The whole village will be an educational place. So you don't have to go. You're not just going to school or university. Imagine your whole life as educational. And number three is, there are no teachers and students. We are all teacher students. We are all student teachers. That we learn from each other. And of course, we already can acknowledge that. But those are definitely these pedagogical shifts are also something interesting to also notice. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I really loved your last one because I feel it's not about education per se, it's about learning. And with neuroplasticity, we are learners our entire life. And everybody we meet is a mentor. So it's about life experiences. And it's just so amazing to have a very diverse group of people here that we can learn from each other. So I would like to invite the audience then to chip in with some of their favorite trends or things that keep you up at night, things that you have noticed, things that you worry about, or things that you find positive.
This came out of the session where the future of food was discussed, and it's really revolutionary. We were talking about novel foods, about farm-free ingredients. So it looks like the revolution is coming to food industry. Instead of growing food, we will be manufacturing food that is much safer for people, but also much greener in terms of the impact for the environment. So that's a big trend coming.
Amazing, and that's a great point because we're learning so much more about how our bodies and brains work and how there is a connection between the gut and the nutrition and the physical functions in our brain as well. Is there anybody else who? Yes.
I saw a meme, I think, that was about like in the future, looking at a photo with children looking at screens is gonna be just as outrageous as looking at children smoking, like the photos from before. I love that image as it's really harmful for children. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes we need to be shocked, right, so that we can think about better futures and how to improve them.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mohammed Al-Hammadi from the Government Development and the Future Office. Speaking of AI and having this session looking at the kids, I just recalled one day I was testing Midjourney. I believe you are familiar with Midjourney. And my kid came to the bed as I was sitting, and he was like, "Papa, what are you doing?" And I told him that I'm trying to create a scenario so the system could give me an image. And he said, "Papa, I want to try it." And he's only 7 years old, Faris. I took the scenario from his end and I saw the picture. It was beautiful, full of colors, full of creatures and animals and everything. And it just perfectly resembled his character in a way. Then I called my younger kid, who is Ghaith. He's about 6 years old. And I told him, "Come, let's play a game with the Midjourney." And I explained it in a brief way to him. And he gave me a script. And I was fascinated that the script was literally his resemblance as a personality. Faris is more of an outgoing person. He's a social person, while Ghaith is more, I would say, sentimental person. He likes one-on-one sessions with people and kids around him. So the two pictures from two different kids, 1 year gap difference between them, were totally different. I would really recommend, if you have kids, your siblings or daughters or sons, just to try the Midjourney with them and see how the resemblances and how fascinating technology becomes when we use it for good and to understand other people. And it's a way of communication, basically. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think this is a great segue to what I wanted to say. There are two things. One is, as of 2025, a whole new generation is going to be born, Generation Beta. So these are the kids that will follow Generation Alpha, and they are also nicknamed the artificials. So these kids are going to grow up in an environment where AI will be present. They will be born into this environment. So how will that impact their education, their play, their attitude towards life in general? I saw a couple of hands here. It was you first, and then the gentleman in the back.
Hi. It was just building on kind of what had been said previously, but also yourself. There's this saying, the sentiment previously, that it takes a village to raise a child. And, you know, children previously would consider the village as their brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles and cousins. And that village, for me, is now grown global because of the ubiquitousness of technology and the fact that children today are interacting, albeit through a screen at the minute, but ultimately who knows what that may be, and that their context and their relationships aren't now limited to their immediate vicinity, but actually is more kind of immersive and can be global. And the fact that this opens up so much opportunity for learning and creativity and for community, I think is just a really exciting future.
Absolutely. And we were speaking about AI can be used for good or it can be used for bad. It really resembles, or it takes the values that we bring to the table as humans, right? And I was looking at different reports and different examples and different videos last night, actually, about how bias can be baked into AI. However, AI can be used to break biases. It was used by Brazilians to showcase what the female soccer club from Brazil would have looked like if they were allowed to play football. It gives me chills. If you're able to end, actually for foresight, if we use it to prototype futures, if you use it to imagine and to really feel, and this is something that we love doing at the Lego Group, we don't just tell stories about the future, we make people feel what the future is going to look like. And I want to get to a place where we're able to actually feel the consequences of our decisions, because then it makes it really real. So yes, and then the gentleman in the back wanted to add something.
Yes. Sorry, I thought you were asking for trends that
Yes.
we're concerned about. And for me, anthropomorphic robots are probably the thing that I think have the most potential, humanoid robots, and are also the most scary. And it interests me that, like all technology trends, it's all about us ultimately, and how certain cultures find them friendly and certain cultures find them scary. And you see that so I think that's an interesting trend that we have to think hard about.
I really like your point. So the future is not necessarily only about AI and technology. It's about how these children, the Generation Beta, will learn to be human in a world where the whole ecosystem is different because we have another player, and that player is an AI, right? And we talk a lot about the skills of the future. What would be the skills that are important for children? Adaptability, resilience, ethics, being wholesome. I think that's very important, and being human. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just had a random question I hope you can answer. I am a digital artist, or I'm an artist, but a lot of my work exists in the digital space, in the non-physical space. And as somebody that works for Lego, where you create physical toys that children can use, how do you see this kind of conflict between the world we're entering that's very much digital and non-tactile, and living in a world where like you can hold things and build things with your hands, and how do we find that balance between those two?
I don't see it as a conflict. I see a lot of trends or even contradictory cultures emerge and progress together. So I personally don't see that as a conflict. I see it as different sources of inspiration and different ways in which you can be creative. I feel that there is always going to be a need for the other side of things, right? If we're too immersed into the virtual world, there is going to be a need to do things in the physical world. They both come with positives and negatives. That's how I see it. I think maybe even a blend of the two will emerge.
Thank you very much. Mariano, I'm a learning curator. I agree with you regarding the blend approach. I mean, digital, it's definitely, here to say, I mean, it's really evident, but it's also understood that doing things with your hands, it will help tremendously your brain to be happy. I mean, it's really proved that even when we do, especially when we are engaged in jobs that require lots of mental approach, and especially the knowledge worker in offices, they can be very stressful, but at the same time also not helping with our mental well-being, and that's why we do very, very hands-on, in our spare time, hands-on things. Imagine, about, when you are at home and you do, something very practical, or even, do yourself, things.
Yeah.
Because, they can be very, very good, for your happiness and mental well-being. So I believe that, the hybrid will here to stay, and I don't see any danger between, these or overlapping with the digital and so on and so forth.
I mean, we can't predict the future, right? We'll see what happens, but I know that there was a recent research about handwriting and how important this is for memory and for mental development as well. So this is great. We have one more question, or comment rather, let's take that, and then maybe let's
play.
Let's play a little, yeah.
Hi, my name is Richard Xu. I work in China and Japan. Shaquille and Joanna, both of you are in really interesting spaces. Your name, your company name is ridiculous, and Lego supposed to be as analog as it can be in play games. But so much of conversation these days is AI, is pushing children 3 years old in publishing and creating. But I think there are few words that we don't hear so much these couple of days. Is empathy. Is empathetic design, is empathetic thinking, more humanistic way of playing. And I'll just give an example. Lego Dispatch, that's already maybe 10 years old, is the most emotional way of using Lego to fix cities that government cannot fix. Floors, ground, walls. I mean, I think AI, generative AI, is going to be in all the schools. But we don't hear of many schools that teach emotional, right? I mean, I think, is this an interesting balanced place that we can complete that picture for educators, for city government, for corporations?
Absolutely. And thank you for this comment, because we're here to actually have a little play now and work together, and bringing these diverse views and perspectives when you're building your persona of the future, I think is going to be extremely, extremely helpful. So, would you like
sure.
to share what we will?
So I think I'll come back to that after the conversation a bit after during lunch. But then, having said that, what we're going to do right now is imagine. I mean, it's the year 2023, so we're going to transport ourselves using this time machine in the middle to the year 2050. Yeah, 2050, 27 years away, and of course, what we're going to do is we're going to create a persona of a child, a kid. Yeah, from the year 2050. Like, what will the kid look like in the year 2050? And you can use the Lego bricks to tell your story, right? So you'll build whatever way you want, right? You tell your story through the Lego bricks, and of course work in pairs. So not individually, work with the person beside you. If it's odd, then three of you can work together. Yeah.
Yes, but ideally, people that don't know each other.
Oh yeah, people that don't know each other. So if you know each other, then find someone. Yeah. Even though it's day 2, you should know a few of each other. But yeah. But before you begin, sorry. Just to get some attention back in the room. Apologies, we're already into playing. Just some quick examples of what the personas might look like. Yeah. Apologies about that.
So I wanted to give a bit of inspiration. Hopefully it's inspiration. So I've created 2 kids from the future, and I would like to read you the scenario of the persona. You can get inspired by it or not. It's up to you. So I have 2 of them. So the first one is the Maverick Kid. So the Maverick Kid is a child of generation Beta, or the artificials, the first of which will be born in 25. It's destined to stretch the bounds of human potential. With their lives seamlessly integrated with AI and technology from birth, they achieve a mastery over digital landscapes that previous generations could hardly imagine. With a lifespan extended by groundbreaking life hacks, the Maverick has more time to enact change, more time to innovate, and more time to connect. They are the architects of a new world, spearheading initiatives for a sustainable Earth, ensuring all elements of the ecosystem, humans, AI, Earth, are all equally important and taken care of. They sit at decision-making tables as equals among seasoned leaders, tapping into indigenous knowledge and traditions of their ancestors, taking the best out of the past to create a brand new future. Rejecting the rigidness of early century formal education, the Maverick learns through doing, through virtual collaboration, and through the wisdom of diverse global networks. Their ambition is not just to witness the future, but to create it, leaving a legacy of transformation and hope for the generations to follow. The other one, a little provocation here, is called the DigiKid. So the DigiKid represents a new frontier in the realm of childhood. Born in the virtual universe to a human parent from the physical world, these digital beings possess a blend of traits from a global human database, making them as unique as any other child. Their existence in the digital world is rich and complex. It's filled with growth, learning, and interactions that mirror the physical world. Or do they? Parents opt for DigiKids for a myriad of reasons, from environmental concerns to the pursuit of controlled, safe upbringing. These virtual children might inherit digital assets from ancestors or carve out their own niche in the digital economy. With the right to an education akin to their human counterparts, DigiKids choose their paths, friends, and interests, living lives as full and vibrant as any flesh and blood child. Yet, the question of their maturation looms large. Will they perpetually dwell in the innocence of digital youth, or will they too evolve, grow, and one day step into adulthood? The DigiKid, a marvel of the virtual age, challenges our very notions of existence and identity in the ever-expanding digital cosmos. These are the 2 kids that I have imagined. So now we will have 15 minutes. 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
10 minutes to work together and come up with a story. I hope it's a positive story, and then we'll have a little bit of time for you to share
Up to you, yeah.
these stories.
Sure.
And we will mingle. We'll come and join some of your discussions. Well, thank you very much for engaging. I hope you had fun. And now we would like to hear some of your stories, please. I think, well, how many? Look, a lot of volunteers. I don't have to volunteer anybody. I think your hand was first, so please go ahead. And we're going to bring you a mic.
Hi everyone, Dr. Alyssa Farrow. Our brainstorm of our persona, we chose a 10-year-old, so we put an age on our little person, and we felt that they had augmented telepathy with, nature, machines, and their friends. They also, because of that connection, they have a really strong connection to nature. And part of them is augmented by artificial means as well, connected into their brains and hearts that help amplify those powers that they have. We also felt in our model this little person wouldn't be going to school, but their school is nature and home and family and the inspiration that flows from nature, and that it's a circular system, so they learn from nature and they give back. But they're still kids, so they still play, have fun, love and be kind, so there's a lightness about them, and they're very grounded.
Good conversations about this whole thing. Mine is a bit more simpler. So this is my daughter, Eliazia, in the future, and she's currently 4, so this would make her, 30, if it's 20? And I see her having such a strong foundation. I don't know if you can see this, but I just had a very simple kind of Lego piece at the bottom. And that's what I would hope that I'm focusing on, strong values, knowing who she is, getting to know her identity, so that whatever comes to her in the future, she can handle it because she knows who she is. And she values the real moments in life, right? Whether off-screen moments and the emotion, and we talked about that a lot. But I don't know if you can see the piece at the top, it's flexible. So it's one of those pieces that can turn, because I feel like once you have that strong foundation in the child, whatever comes their way, they can be flexible, they can adapt, because they know who they are. They know what's their identity, and whatever can come their way.
The foundation to be flexible.
Foundation is strong, doesn't change. The child is flexible to see the good in things, to leverage what technologies are out there and the learnings. But her foundation is strong, she knows who she is, values, that sort of thing.
We had the same thing, but we also spoke about the fluidity of identity and the idea that we are all building an avatar of a child in the future. But what are we leaving empty for the child to identify themselves as in the future? And mine has a little gap, and yours also has a gap to be filled by the child.
Oh. It's like the museum of the future.
Like the museum of the future.
Absolutely.
I'm Wendy. This is Aliyah. And we were talking about crisis management, because Aliyah works in crisis management. And in 2050, there will still be crises. So we actually thought of a story about 2 children, one in a crisis space, one in a difficult environment, one in a more privileged environment. And what we did was we built bridges and thought of the idea of a network of children speaking to children and being supportive, and teaching each other, being curious. And the 2 bridges are the bridge of empathy and the bridge of emotion. And energy goes both ways across those bridges, because we all may be in crisis sometimes, and we all may be more privileged sometimes. And these are children that have learned to connect with each other across those bridges.
I love that. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
I think this is tapping into the genius of children. This is amazing. Love it.
Second time in a row for today. Lucky. Okay. We made a trio on here. having the reality of having boys only in our families, and then having a woman who's inspired, who gets the inspiration from her parent. We created a character of a kid from the future who is an ambitious kid. You can see that he has 2 necks and 2 heads, one in the front, one in the back, so he can overlook everything. He loves exploring and expanding his horizons, so he can be up to date every time with every single change that faces the future of the world. He speaks to animals and plants, a little bit imaginary, but possible with the AI and the technology. Able to communicate in any way, in any language, with any emotion, and somebody who likes to stargaze in order to connect with other worlds. I took this from Ahmed in here. He has superpowers given by Sukaina, and he's resilient with strong foundations. Sukaina made it to build the foundation. It's a resilient foundation. And the ending is that he makes a home out of everywhere he goes. Ended by Sukaina.
Oh, this is great. So I would love to hear all of your stories. So feel free to email them to me. I would love to read them. It's so creative. It's really amazing. And I hope you enjoyed this little session where you got to actually build your own stories and have a little bit of fun. The one thing I want to leave everybody with is at the entrance here, when you come in, it says make a wish. And I think just having this room where we're here to make a positive wish, and we have the power to change the future for the better. So I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes. It's a little bit long, so I'll have to read it. It's by Stephen Hawking. Let us fight for every woman and every man to have the opportunity to live healthy, secure lives, full of opportunity and love. We are all time travelers, journeying together into the future. But let us work together to make that future a place we want to visit. Be brave, be curious, be determined, overcome the odds. It can be done. So thank you for participating in this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.